we're just 20 minutes away from the commencing of a new championship here on Apex Racing TV. As Season 8 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series launches with 30 cars on the grid. I am Sam Fitzpatrick and I have alongside me Aaron Smith, who's doing his first studio broadcast here from the Apex Racing studio. And Aaron, it's fantastic to have you alongside me. Usually I'm next to Tim, who makes me feel awfully young. That is not the case, unfortunately, tonight. But, you know, we have so much racing, I think, in sim racing when it comes to prototypes and GT cars. It's nice to get back into single seaters. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I really am. I mean, if last season is anything to go off of, this season is going to be absolutely spectacular. I mean, you know, you and Tim really seemed to enjoy last season. I mean, we had amazing racing round after round, and of course I was in it. I experienced all of the chaos from round one all the way up until the end, and part of me wishes I was in that session right now, but I'm also glad just to be here, and I'm really looking forward to it, Sam.
Awesome. And of course, just a quick rundown of the championship, because we have the Formula 3 cars for this series. It's 9 rounds over the course of 13 weeks, and we have 4 races per round as well, due to our elimination heat format. And there's also some prizes available, £900 worth of Apex Racing Academy and SDK subscriptions, along with a few trophies as well. So big thanks to Apex Racing Academy and SDK for providing them. Of course, you were able to take that last season, Aaron, when you managed to win the Pro-Am Championship at long last. It was a very dramatic season finale. How much of that round do you remember?
Every single second. It was one of the greatest sim racing moments of my career. It was incredibly stressful. I worked so hard all week at Zolder for that, and yeah, that last race I had some drivers along the way, like Marteau, who of course we know very well here on Apex. He was coaching me a little bit, but yeah, that round at Zolder, it was so chaotic, but I kept my head a little bit, apart from one tiny mistake in the A final, but eventually we managed to bag the championship by, I believe, 6 points.
Yeah, it was pretty slim. It was like 710 to 704 or something. So very close. Fabio Grassetto, the loser out on that occasion, but it was a fantastic championship in all of them. In terms of our overall champions over the past few seasons, in fact, actually, we've got a few images of Aaron actually winning the title. This was actually the mistake that you made when you went into the wall. Somehow not much damage. I don't really know how you got away with that.
Yeah, to be honest, neither do I. I remember that moment just a little bit too wide, and you can see just ended up losing the car. And yeah, like you say, I don't know how I didn't get any damage from that, but you know what? I just got my head down, did what I needed to do, and as you can see there, I was actually starting to catch back up to some of the pros at the end, and yeah, celebrating with my teammate as well. But yeah, fond memories. They're all coming flooding back now after, I think, 7 or 8 months. It's
been a while, hasn't it? I mean, you didn't win the overall championship like I did when I won the BSL Radical Winter Series Championship, but you know, you're not at my level. But that's fine. And then for the overall champions, we have got, well, 7 of them for this championship, seeing that we are now in Season 8. It's a very high level of competition that we've always seen in this series, and we can go back some 3 years really to our first ever champion, which was Greg Seitz back in Season 1, and then we had Aleix Alcaraz, Kyo Thiago Marteau, who's the most winningest driver in Apex Racing League history. He's got 4 titles, 2 of them coming in this series. And then we had the Sim Race Sweden domination, Tobias Olsson 2 times and Isaac Arvidsson last season. And they are back again looking to defend their trophies.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this just before we went live, actually, and we were kind of debating who can take Sim Race Sweden on. I mean, Alcantech seem to be the #1, team who consistently have brought forward some good drivers. You know, the likes of Jesper Sandstrom, Lennart Schnabel, Zwemstra. They've all consistently been really up there, but sometimes they've struggled to make it all the way up there. Whereas, last season Olsson and Arvidsson were just they ran away with it. And don't forget Mattis Marcinson as well, who was a pretty good third driver as well.
It was incredible championship results because we had the top three, as you were saying, were all Sim Race Sweden. You know, you had Arvidsson, Olsen and Martinsen, and then the next three were all Alcantech drivers. So we've never had, I think, the top three finish in the top 3 places in the overall championship before, let alone the top 6 being just from 2 teams. And so it sort of does show the mountain that Alcantech have got to climb. And of course, let's not forget Isaac Arvidsson with that 10 race winning streak at the moment. He can make it 11, and by our reckoning, that would be a record in ARL in terms of most consecutive wins in a series. So a lot of stake in his heat race today.
It really is. And if Arvidsson can take another victory, you know, in the heat and possibly even in the A final as well, you know, he really will be up there with one of the best drivers that we've had in Apex. I mean, that run last season from, I think, Kota, I think you put it best. After that, you knew the championship was pretty much sealed for Arvidsson. And yeah, he just had a fantastic season last season. Olsen, a little bit shaky, but, you know, still had some really good performances, especially at the start of the season. And we had a few other drivers in Alcantech. Jesper Sandstrom, I think, got 1 or 2 victories as well. And I think Connor Wagner in Delta Sport as well might have gotten 1. Yeah, but yeah, this season, you know, there's only one way to find out who's going to be the most competitive.
Exactly. And of course, for this season, we have 9 rounds coming up. The first one is going to be Road America, which is our opening round for tonight. But of course, following the F3 official series, as we always do in the Apex Racing Academy series, and so the drivers get a free Apex Racing Academy subscription, and so they've basically got the setups and the data packs, the the track guides that they need in order to really get top performance for this series. What round do you think you're looking forward to most for the calendar?
Honestly, Monza, to be honest. I've had a bit of a thought, and I think Monza's just always chaotic, but always can provide that really good racing just because of the long straights, the slipstreaming, it's constant action. I think last season, or one of the previous seasons, we had like so many finishes where they were side by side to the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got that this season as well. And also I think Aragon as well, the new track for this season. I think because it's a new track, not very known, I think that will be a really tough challenge for some of these drivers. But what do you think, Sam? What's your round?
I mean, I'm looking forward to Jerez. I think Jerez is a real nice circuit. So that will be round 9, season finale. It's a good season finale after, of course, 1997. So yeah, that will be a lot of fun. And of course, we are going back to what we always do in this series. It's our elimination heat formats. Anyone who's raced in our single seater series, even Porsche Cup as well. Of course, we've used it for the last couple of seasons as well. Know how it works. 2 10-minute heats to open. Then we have a B final and an A final. If you do well in your heat, you're straight through into the A final. However, some of the drivers will have to go through the B final. For tonight, we have got 7 drivers from the heat, going straight to the A final, whilst the rest will go to the B final, and then the top 4 from the B final will also get into the A final. So 18-minute race and 18 drivers as well for that A final tonight. How does that change your driving when you're racing in those heats? I mean, is that something in the back of your mind due to this alternative layout?
Yeah, it really does change because in those heats, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's a short format, so it's basically low fuel, sprint all the way until the end. But then you don't want to mess up your race and end up in the consolation final and basically ruin your A final. But at the same time, you want to get as many points as you can in a championship, and you want to take every opportunity that comes your way. And for me, the heats, I just treated them the same as any other race, just passed anyone I could, made up places, and you can gain some places from other people being cautious as well. So we're going to have a mix of strategies, I think, this season, but it's going to be chaotic either way.
Yeah, and you get points for both your heat and your B final and A final. So as I was saying, you do want to get points, and so you do need those good positions, and the heat set the start for the B and A finals as well. So really is important that you deliver across the entire day. Now, word on our track for this evening. Do you think Road America is a good circuit for these drivers to start on, or do you think it's a bit of a baptism of fire?
It's difficult because that first sector, slipstream fest galore, especially on lap 1 and 2 where the drivers are going to be nice and compact. I think possibly in the heat it's going to be a little bit more chaotic. I think maybe in the A final we'll have a bit more people going a bit tentative into turn 1. But I love Road America. It's my favourite North American track. I just love the flow of it, especially in these higher downforce cars. I think it's going to be a beauty for these guys to drive.
I think it's a solid top 5 in the world of circuits. I think it's right up there with, you know, Suzuka and those levels of circuits. It really is an absolute classic. Of course, through turn 5 and through turn 6, and then of course you head straight through 7. I mean, in your experience, is 7 a flat-out corner, I guess, round this circuit? And so you just, you know, as if the slipstream wasn't big enough yet, the downforce to power ratio of this car often just extends the straights because you have corners which are just, you know, slipstream corners pretty much.
Yeah, I think if you're following, though, the dirty air can catch you out a little bit. I remember a couple seasons ago in Road Atlanta when they changed the F3 car quite a bit and the way it handles dirty air. It did catch me out. That dirty air, if you're not careful, can genuinely just put you in a wall. So I think that might be something some of the drivers will have to contend with through the likes of the carousel and the kink as well. It might play a little bit into their hands, but like you say, because these guys are fairly high downforce and can take most of these corners flat, it just makes it even more of a slipstream fest than it already is.
Absolutely, and of course the Bill Mitchell bend that you just saw previously, and then round the final corner, and perhaps even a run to the line later on. Of all the circuits that we visit, honestly, this is probably the #1 circuit when it comes to kind of dead heats at the finish line. And with 4 races tonight, you have to think that one of them is going to come right down to the wire. For this season then, who are we going to put our money on to win the title, do you think? I mean, we've got 3 classes for this season. We've got the pros, the pro-ams and the ams, so we've got to have 3 champions. Who are you thinking is going to take the overall title, do you reckon, this season, Aaron?
I gotta say, I've been watching Jesper Sandström the last few seasons since we've not had this F3 on Apex. The likes of IGP Fun is another Formula 3 league. And Jesper Sandström has been pretty good, to be honest. He's improved quite a bit since we last did this series. So I think he's going to be my pick for pro, to be honest.
Okay, well, I think that's crazy cool because we've got to go for the man who's won 10 races in a row, right? Isaac Arvidsson, the defending champion. I reckon he's going to do it once again. I think, honestly, maybe Tobias also might be his closest rival because he pushed him last season. But yeah, I'm going Isaac all the way. Like, I'm not putting money on it or anything, but I think that one is, I think, a wise call for that. In the Pro-Am, I have gone, I think the Pro-Am and the AMs, honestly, like, it's so many guys could win. I've gone for Michael Kabak to win this season. He's got quite a lot of experience in ARL. I think he's about 3k iRacing is Michael, so I think 3.3 is our highest in the Pro-Am. I think he's a decent shout, but I mean, I don't think anyone's got more than about a 20% chance of winning. It's not like when you were winning, and when I was like, oh, this guy's obviously going to win it.
Well, not to toot my own horn or anything, but yeah. I've gone for Glamsetter for Pro-Am. I think he's had a few opportunities the last few seasons, and he's had a few drivers who have stood in his way. But now that, you know, the likes of me and a couple other drivers aren't there, I think Glamsetter probably is gonna take he has a good chance, I'd say. And in the practice at the moment, I believe he was the top driver in Pro-Am. So
yeah, always very strong our Crips racing. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be up there. And yeah, I think he has previously won an amateur title. I don't think he's won a Pro-Am title yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has got that pedigree. This was probably the most experienced F3 driver, honestly, out on the grid. And then in the AMs, I've gone, and I always try not to go for the highest iRacing driver, but I've gone for Jacob Fillamore, 2.1k iRacing. He just snuck into the AM category. He's, again, got a few seasons of experience, and I'm not confident, honestly, about Fillamore. Again, it's another class where I don't think anyone's got more than a 20% chance of winning the title.
Yeah, AM last season especially, we saw every single race it changed. It was really, really tough to call who was going to be champion in AM, and I think this season's going to be completely the same. It will change race from race. But my pick is Spence. He did really well in Formula 4 last season, and I think he'll be able to replicate that in Formula 3 this season. And if he can, I think he might be able to nudge into those pro-ams. You never know.
I must say, you got first pick on that one. I was there thinking, yeah, Garrett might actually do it for the season. So I think that was a very wise call. We're going to find out, though, who is going to take the first race win of the season very soon. So we'll transfer over to the sim, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments' time. We are almost ready to go for qualifying for this opening round of the championship, and the drivers just currently actually on their out laps as it stands, and soon they'll be launching away for this, well, one of the longest laps of the season. It's a tricky one to nail every lap, and of course, contrary to what the official series do, and we have got an open qualifying for this, and so the potential for slipstreams, and this is when you really want to have allies, when you want to have teammates in the championship to give you those extra couple of tenths in this session.
Yeah, I remember when we used to do this, of course, last season. The qualifying oftentimes was the most strategic out of the entire race weekend. And, like you said, it was very, very useful to have allies, to have those teammates to help you get that slipstream, especially at tracks like this, where it can gain you like 3 tenths, half a second, maybe even more, and it could be the difference between pole and 10th. You just never know. And I think today we're going to see the likes of Simrace Sweden, Alcantech as well. They will be the guys who will definitely be making the best of that slipstream. And some of the privateers are going to struggle a bit. Me personally, I always struggled to follow other cars in qualifying. It was, if you were quicker than them, it ruined your lap, and if they made a mistake, of course, it would ruin your lap. So I prefer to be alone, but I know how good it can be.
That tends to be my strategy as well, in terms of so much can go wrong when you're trying those strategies, and particularly around this circuit where you only get 3 laps. If they're really quick about it, they might get 4 laps, to be fair. You haven't got many attempts on it, so you're risking a lot if you're relying on another driver to follow, or if another driver is following you. The first few laps are about to be set. You can see Connor Gibb currently punching his own hole into the air. I think it might be just for Sandstrom, the first man across the line, one of our favourites for this season, and he was dragging along the 171 of Rasmussen, I believe that is. Sandstrom goes to the top. Can he get immediately beaten? No, he doesn't. Rasmussen, despite having the toe, still in second place.
Yeah, that lap from Sandstrom seems to be a fairly good opener, and I say that, and Diadone just goes and absolutely smashes it. I say that, only a few hundredths there, but yeah, the pro class actually fairly close at the moment. The top 4 only 3 tenths, and look at that Glam setter up there. he just looks like he has got that pace this season. And I think, like I said earlier, now that he's not got too much competition, he can focus on what he needs to do, get the job done, and he's faster than the likes of Aberdeen and Zwemstra at the moment. I think he's going to do really well today.
I mean, this would be a mighty curse, because this is witchcraft going on right now from Aaron Smith. I mean, the season hasn't even started yet properly, and he's already absolutely, you know, absolutely cursed the man. So I'm ever so sorry to Christian. But he is currently up there in P5. Villamore currently top of the amateur drivers in P8. Of course, Diodone, new driver to the series, and he's from the sim design team, which I am not particularly familiar with, and so we really didn't know how good Giuseppe was going to be. 4.9k is Giuseppe, which is nothing to shrug about, but at the same time it's not the highest, with 7.2 for Gianfranco Pagotto. So that is quite a surprise for the Italian, and interestingly as well, he's towed back to the pits. He just wants to do one lap, and then I assume we'll go back out there for another outlap very soon.
Yeah, we'll find out very, very soon. And yeah, I mean, sometimes people can have that lower I rating and you think, oh, he's not going to be too much of a challenge, and then they go and blitz the entire field. I mean, the likes of Marteau, for the longest time, you know, he had 3k I rating, and yet he's one of the most successful drivers, you know, in our entire series. And yeah, I rating can sometimes be a little bit deceiving, as you see Villamore there going into the pit lane, people starting to ramp up the lap times as they finish their second flying laps. They're probably going to be able to get another one in as Sandstrom leads the way with a 57.687 and 0.2 of a second ahead of everyone else. And I don't think Isaac has actually set a time yet, but I believe when he does, he'll shoot right up to the top of the timing sheets.
Yes, I think he may have invalidated lap. So I'm seeing a purple first sector on this lap, so he might be lining up something pretty big. But yeah, a lot of changes on that second lap. Clearly, the tyre is becoming much more competitive, and it's always positive to see the top 8 separated by only half a second. Olsen currently down in 8th position as it stands. So good news for Alcantech at the moment, and this was always the battle at the front of last season, Alcantech versus Simrace Sweden. And, well, there's a few others to mix around in there, but at the moment it is advantage Alcantech. Lennart Schnabel as well out here as well. And he's trying to go for another lap. Has he got much of a draft? He's a little bit too far back, so he's having to go at this one alone. He has actually got a Simrace Sweden car behind, and I think maybe Lennart just trying to break the draft there so not to help his rivals.
Yeah, well, my predictions so far going pretty well. Jesper right at the top there, and yeah, like you said, the Alcantech car is going really, really well so far. And perhaps Olsen and Arvidsson maybe just sandbagging a little bit. Ooh, coming into Canada corner there. Lennart Schnabel got a little bit wiggly, and is this a little bit of a tactic by Schnabel to actually hold up the Simrace Sweden cars? Off he goes and into the wall. And that was Tobias Olsen. His lap is most definitely ruined. There is no way, and oh yeah, it's most definitely ruined now. He manages to keep it just about on the track, pulls into the pit lane, and it doesn't seem to be a good start for the Simrace Sweden cars as Arvidsson now comes across the line. This is going to be his final lap.
Wow.
And wow, right to the top, 7 thousandths ahead of Sandstrom, who has now come into the pits as well. And you know, it's bad for Olsen, but as you predicted, Arvidsson right up there.
Yeah, he's really delivered there. 7 thousandths of a second round, one of the longest circuits of the season, is really very impressive. And Schnabel, you're not allowed to impede during qualifying, so he might be under pressure. I'm sure the Simrace Sweden guys will not hesitate to protest him if they possibly think a penalty could be served. So unfortunate for Olsen, but didn't seem like Arvidsson was negatively affected, as another one of our new drivers, Hakon Jokulsen, which is one of our best names for this season, the Icelandic driver approaching the line. He is currently in 15th position. Can he get within a second of the pole? No, he cannot. And of course, the drivers have to complete their lap time before the 10-minute end. So that is it for Jokulsen. He won't get around for another lap time.
Yeah, that's always something you had to keep in mind in these sessions. I remember last season, a couple drivers getting caught out by that. They think, you know, you can go right to the end of qualifying and finish your lap, whereas that just isn't true. And yeah, I remember some drivers last season really did lose, like they were like 3 or 4 tenths up, and because they simply didn't know that, their lap was gone, over, and they'd be starting way further down the grid than they would hope. And you know, I hold my hands up. I was guilty of it a few times. You know, a couple laps where I made that mistake. But you know, knowing me, I usually would have set a good lap time anyway. But speaking of which, you know, Glamsetter, I know I might have already cursed him, but he's looking really good at the moment. I just have to say it. 3/10 ahead of his closest rival.
He is. He's just going to be short of making this lap time. I think he may have already picked up a 1x. He seemed very wide at Canada corner. But P8, as you say, is a very, very good result for Christian as we transition over to the grid for this opening round of the championship. And Heat 1 is going to be Isaac Arvidsson on pole position, Gianfranco Pagotto in second place, and it's Nicholas Rasmussen, Giuseppe Diodone, and then it's Tobias Olsen, Dylan Platz rounding out our pros, and then it is the amateur driver of Jacob Fillamore up in 7th place, and it's Hakon Jokulsen, Garrett Spence, Ina Hahn, Jay Walsh, Dorian Arroyo in P12, and Michael Griffin in P13. Our amateur champion from last season is Griffin, of course, making that transition up to the pro-ams. We will wait to see if he can win that. I don't think anyone's ever gone from winning one championship to being promoted for the next season and winning that. So that's maybe at stake for Griffin. That'd be a pretty cool record for him to attain. You know, never know. When I do this series next, if I do, I might try and go for that record. You never know. I would like to see how I would fare against these pros. Last season, it was really, really fun to go up against a lot of them in officials and in practice sessions. And, you know, all of these guys are amazing to race against, and they're pretty fair when it comes to all lovely chaps. And, yeah, let's hope they can keep that record this race. Yes, yeah, we're about to find out. We've got about a minute more of gridding up. The top 3 are all on the grid now. And of course, thanks to everyone who has tuned in for this broadcast. We really do appreciate you taking the time to watch these guys out here. And yeah, of course, do let us know in the YouTube chat who you are supporting. Might even get a little bit more television on them if possible. So yeah, do certainly let us know. Michael Griffin, unfortunately, waiting a while to grid up, but he's now on there. Last minute, that's Nick Madsen type stuff on the Porsche Cup. Excellent stuff. As Isaac Arvidsson going for an ARA record of 11 wins in a row as we launch Season 8 of the F3 Apex Racing Academy Championship, as Arvidsson is already under pressure from Pagotto, who's got his nose ahead down into turn 1. Surely will be the Swedish driver who's got the advantage. There's contact between the two of them. Pagotto is going to do well to stay on the circuit. He just goes around the perimeter there. He's down into 5th position already. So it's Arvidsson leading the way. Great start for Olsen. He's already up 2 places and could well help his teammate out later on in the race.
There was, I believe that's Olsen there getting very, very twitchy off the exit of turn 3. I think that was just inexperience from Pagotto trying to go around the outside turn 1. Around here just doesn't work in these cars, but further back we've got some battles. That's Fillamore, I believe, coming under pressure from Platz behind. He's going to send it into turn 5. It's going to be close between these two. He loses out for now. And Platz as well, you know, a pro driver not getting the best of starts, but someone who did get a very, very good start at the moment is Arvidsson, half a second ahead of Rasmussen, and Olsen as well up a couple places. He's starting to gain a little bit of ground that he lost in qualifying, and we'll see what he can do over the rest of this race.
Yeah, and crucially, they're all still within the draft of one another, and this is maybe a little bit of the part of the lap, the flat-out kink and into Canada corner that they can all start punching up together. Here we go from the onboard of Tobias Olsen, Sim Sweden, 2-time champion, remember, and he's going to have a good chance at second place here if he wants to go for it. He's got a fantastic straight line speed, maybe running a little bit less downforce, honestly, it looks like it, because that was very, very easy, and after doubting them, Simre Sweden are into a 1-2.
And it's contact!
Contact! Maybe a bit of netco between the two of them. Rasmussen unlucky. He might get a bit of damage as well, and he's going to do very well to get into the top 7 in this race.
Yeah, I think Rasmussen there should have just backed out a little bit earlier. He was half and half. He was trying to hold on to the position, but was being a bit lenient with Olsen. And just hang it around the outside, but then again, Olsen did squeeze him quite a lot down there at Canada corner. And speaking of which, Olsen's going to be under pressure from Diodone now, who had a horrible start, but is now trying to come back through the field. And, well, it just couldn't quite get it done there. But Pagotto as well, who also had a terrible start, up now back into 4th place, gaining a few there. And he might even be on the back of his Italian friend. Not very long to go. And he's not had great pace so far. And look at this, Olsen giving Arvidsson a run for his money already.
Yeah, this is very competitive. I really thought that Arvidsson had got close to breaking the jar, but anything but. They are nose to tail, as I think Platt has actually got back past Pagotto in the background. You can just see that. Pagotto will be infuriated by that because, no disrespect to Dylan, I think Pagotto's a fair bit faster. You'd expect him to go ahead and maybe drag the pair of them up to this top 3, but instead they are losing time in the top 3 now with a 1.3 second advantage over the rest. But this is a very tricky position now for anyone to break this jungle hold for Simrace Sweden. 2 teammates, 2 guys who work very well together. Anyone to kind of penetrate those top 2 places will do very well now because, yeah, this is a fantastic position for them to be in.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited for the, you know, next few races that we've got on for you tonight, especially that A final. I think is going to be really, really spicy when you've got the likes of Sandstrom right up there. Only missed out by like 7 thousandths of a second on pole. And you see that Olsen not fighting his teammate for now. It's going to be interesting to see if towards the end of the race he chooses to go head-to-head with his teammate. As unfortunately he lost out last season, of course. But I'm sure this season he'd love to amend that. Oh, off the track goes Michael Griffin. That's going in the barrier.
So Griffin starts it from the back. He'd been able to make his way up as high, I think, as 8th place. But he has been sent all the way to the rear again. He's definitely not going to be getting through. Top 7 gets straight through into the A final. The rest of them will have to go into the B final. And only the top 4 from that B final get through into the A final as well. So, yeah, high stakes for those top 7 places. And, yeah, that's not the start of the season that Michael Griffin needed whatsoever. AM champion last season, of course. And currently in that 7th position, just about making his way through, is Hakon Jokulsen, looking to get through on his debut.
Yeah, some guys in here really having some decent debuts so far, some drivers we've not seen before, and others not, their fortunes not as good. You know, returning drivers like Rasmussen, unfortunate contact with Olsen. He's trying to make his way back through the field. He's got some decent pace at the moment, setting a purple sector 4 last lap, and I believe I'm going to say he can get into that top 7, but it's going to be close at the end.
Yeah, he's fortunately avoided any damage. The gravel trap at Canada Corner is very weird, where there's like a huge, like, sort of jump almost. And I thought he might just destroy the front wing on that, but seemingly he completely got away with it. And yeah, so he's quite happy in that 9th place, I think. Yeah, unless something else goes wrong for him, he should quite comfortably get up ahead of Jokulsen. As Diodone, I mean, this is brilliant. This is another championship contender that we weren't sure about. He absolutely has the pace on these guys, but he is struggling to get past. And of course, with Olsen having the draft from Arvidsson, it's going to be ever so tricky for the Italian to be able to get enough of an advantage on the straights.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier on, it's, you know, in these heat races, it's like, do you want to risk making that contact with another driver, considering it is such a short race and every point counts? But then again, every point counts, and you want to go for that extra place in that championship. And he's holding on fairly well to the 2 Swedes in front of him, but I think with the teamwork going on between them, as you said, it's going to be so difficult for the Italian to get past.
Yeah, it might be that he just has to wait till the last lap, because Olsen will undoubtedly go for the move on Arvidsson. I mean, they are fighting for the championship. They are, in my book at least, the 2 favourites. They've split the past 3 titles in this series between the pair of them. And of course, if you haven't already, do check out our social media, Apex Racing League. And I think it's on the Apex Racing TV social medias as well, on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, because we did a little bit of a video from all the different angles of that battle they had at Kota. Really one of the highlights in 2022, as Rasmussen has got past Garrett Spence, so he's nearly there. You can see the Icelandic Jokulsen only just ahead. He's got 2 laps to make this, I believe, or will it be 3 laps? It will be very close, because they're halfway around the lap and we've got 3 minutes to go.
I'm going to say this is... Actually, no, I'm going to say they'll have 2 laps left. I think we're far enough through the lap now that we might just be able to squeeze in another lap. But just a little shout out to Villamore. Look at the race he's having. 4 seconds off the lead in AM. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, really, really impressive. That was a little bit of a replay of the turn 1. And yeah, this was Griffin heading straight into the wall. Just a solo mistake, really, for Griffin there, getting onto the grass. And even if you don't spin into the wall in that scenario, you're still going to, you know, damage the car, potentially being quite so far off the circuit. So, yeah, big mistake there from Griffin, and that's why he is out of this race as it stands.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for last season's champion, and you know, we thought he might be able to take the fight towards those prams, but if he makes a mistake like that, and oh, here we go, he's finally waited for his chance and has fairly easily overtaken Arvidsson. That, I think Arvidsson might have let him through there, to be honest. I don't know about you, Sam, but didn't look 100% from Arvidsson there.
And I wasn't paying full attention when they crossed the line. I think we've got 2 more laps, or 1 more lap to go after this one. I think
it's going to be close.
It was very close. And iRacing usually... Oh, here we go. Okay, this is what we want to see. Okay, so Arvidsson now going straight back past. I mean, they're batting like it's the last lap. I don't think it is. Olsen... I mean, they're in the same Discord as one another, and it is very impressive that these guys have such a good sorts of kind of sporting relationship between the pair of them, because a lot of teammates would not be able to race this closely and be so willing to race so closely. But these guys, you know, they respect each other, but they also see each other as rivals.
I do believe this is probably going to be white flag. Just looking at the time on Giuseppe's wheel right now, it's going to be so close, but I think it's going to be white flag, and that's why we did see the 2 Swedes at the top battling. But Arvidsson just was a little bit more strategic there. He let him through into turn 1 and then knew that he was going to have to speed into turn 5. And you know, if he's going to do little strategic moves like that all season, he has a fairly good chance. Is Olsen going to dive down into Canada corner? Not this lap. Maybe he's just going to settle for second here if we are right, and this is the final lap. It's going to be really, really close, but I think it is going to be the last lap, Sam.
So here's the run to the line. You can make a move in the remaining time, but here we are on board. Is the checker flag being waved as they go over the crest? That is the white flag. That is the white flag. There's no black on that flag, and now they're pump drafting one another. So they were batting very hard on the penultimate lap, and they're not batting so hard on the final lap. Watch out for that in Heat 2 as well. No certainty that will necessarily make it, because that must have been within a couple of seconds, as Rasmussen is up into P7. This is for the final advancing spot. Of course, whoever finishes it, and he spun round, that's Coulson into the wall. That will be P12 for him, because that car is absolutely wrecked. And that's a huge shame for him. And look at Olsen, he's clearly made a mistake through the first couple of corners. Arvidsson trying to help out his teammate by giving him the draft, but this is really helping Arvidsson just pull out in the lead. This might be a big enough gap for him to win this race.
Yeah, it's half a second now. You do have that slight toe still. It does gain you that little bit of time, but Olsen is going to have to push like a madman in these next few corners if he wants another chance to overtake his teammate. And, well, if we know Olsen, we know he's not going to back down from a fight, and I think he is going to push like crazy these next few corners. But as try as he may, Arvidsson just seems to be doing that a little bit better. And when I say little bit, I'm talking hundredths in every single corner, just a tiny bit. And, yeah, it's 6/10 now. I think Arvidsson's got this in the bag.
Yeah, he'll gain a nice amount around here. Well, I mean, that's a lot gained here. This is looking a bit more competitive, because it's already down to 4/10 of a second. You won't get him into Canada corner, but if you can really nail this next trio of corners, he's even dipping out of the draft there. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe he wants to be a bit further behind. Once again, you can overtake on the run to the line. It is just about long enough. It's up there with Phillip Island as the most spectacular ends to races that we usually see. Diodone's right in there as well. He might go for a dive, but that's not going to be possible. It's Arvidsson versus Olsen for the first time this season. How many more times are we going to see it? But he's gone wide, and he's almost spun into Diodone. Olsen is only going to finish P3, but making it 11 wins in a row, and surely a new Apex Racing League record as well. Isaac Arvidsson for Simrace Sweden takes the first race of the season here at Road America. It will be Diadone, Olsen, Platt, Pagotto, Philemon makes it through in the AMS, and Rasmussen all getting through to the A final.
I'm absolutely speechless. I think Olsen was just trying to push that a little bit too hard around that final corner. Just feeling that pressure a little bit to try and get Arvidsson, but he wasn't able to do it and ended up losing a position because of it as well. And, I mean, yeah, also shout out to Philemon in the amateurs. Spectacular performance up there in P6. Only 5 seconds off the leaders as well. Yeah, I mean, who picks him to win the championship? Not just based on the fact that he had the highest iRacing at all. I knew I had so much confidence in the 13 racing driver. There's our Heat 1 results, but we are already gridding up for Heat 2, which will be getting underway in just a few moments. It's Northamptonshire 1, 2, 3, Sandstrom, Swemscher, and Schnabel. Glamsets are up there for the Pro-Ams. Aberdeen up ahead of Gibb in 6th place, and it's Pop, Cabral, Simonson, Wilkinson, Boberg, Klist, and that is it. That's the 12 drivers for this second race of the evening. And, well, already we are getting underway. Cabral has not made it to the start. P8, that is going to be a gap in the grid. But Alcantech with a lockout in the first 3 positions. We are away racing for the second time this season. And it's a very even start for the front couple of rows of the grid. Gibb looking to make a little bit of pressure. Apologies, that's Glamsets are looking to make some pressure on the cars ahead. He might even be able to get up into that position. But no, it's Lee Aberdeen who manages to take P4 on the run to the first corner. Behind that, good start for Wilkinson and for Klist. Klist up 3 places already from his race start.
Yeah, you can see there Klist in the background really putting some good pressure there. This is Connor Gibb and I believe Edward Pop going side by side as we head down to turn 5, possibly the best overtaking opportunity you are going to get on this track. The Alcantech cars using a little bit of teamwork there. They're not fighting each other, but it's Jesper Sandstrom getting the dream start. So far, we've got a huge crash in the background. That's Boberg, I believe, who's gone off the track. It is. And I don't know if he made contact with someone there or he locked the rears all by himself. But he was very, very lucky not to make contact with anyone else. That, for a second there, Sam, that was looking like a really, really bad crash. Yeah, that was looking like a bowling alley for a few moments. I think there was contact which sent him round. And yeah, that was a very, very bad scenario. Hopefully he can still challenge for top 7, but it might be too much. Cesar Sebrat is out there now for race 2 eSport. I don't know why he didn't start the race. The timer didn't tick all the way to a minute, so I wonder if he was on the grid, then he went off the grid, and yeah, that's maybe why he hasn't started. As here is Gibb looking to make his top 7 position a little bit more comfortable. Of course, one of the drivers who has transferred to No Limit Sim Racing for this season, and he's going to have to go the long way round Edward Pop, who nearly won the Amateur Championship last season, just missed a couple too many rounds, which denied him a good chance. And for now, the German driver is defending excellently. No, he's not. He's gone wide, and he's lost 6th place. That's probably the closest curse I've ever heard in my entire life. He's defending well. No, he isn't. He's off the track. But nevertheless, he's going to try and fight this one back into turn 1. Like I was saying before, turn 1 isn't maybe not the best overtaking opportunity, as it does leave you a bit vulnerable coming down the back straight down to turn 5. You see Simonson there moving himself up into 8th place, getting a little bit on the grass. Got to keep it on the track, mate. That's how you win these races. But now we're going to see who's going to be able to win this little battle for 6th place between Pop and Gibb. Gibb is going to have that slipstream and he's going to make the best of it, hopefully. It's about the braking, though, down into turn 5. It looks like he's going to be forced to the outside. Is he going to send it anyway? It looks like he's taking it a bit easy, but then goes deep on the brakes round the outside. Can he do it? This is looking like a fantastic overtake, and he's got it done. That's a spectacular overtake by the No Limit Sim Racing driver up into 6th place. GG, Gibb.
Yeah, that was really, really nice from Connor Gibb. Let's see if he can now break the draft and really drop the likes of Pop and Simonson and Wilkinson and Co. This man, he is dropping his teammates right now. It's a little bit of a shame that Sandstrom's livery isn't showing. I don't think he submitted one. Otherwise, we would have 4 Alcantech liveries up in that top 4. Unfortunately, Glamset is sort of ruining the photo a little bit because he is absolutely sticking with these drives at the moment. But 1.2 seconds now separates the top, and Jesper Sandstrom, of course, 7K iRacing, and a decent history as well in this series as well. As won races before, and he is really putting down the gauntlet in this first race of the season.
I would also just like to say from that first heat, we didn't have a single Pro-Am driver who made it into the A final, and in this race we've got 3 at the moment. And if Glamsetter can maybe put a move on Aberdeen, because he's looking fairly feisty at the moment, is Christian. If he can get up to 4th place, he's already got a decent jump on the rest of the Pro-Ams already. But, you know, if Gibb does more overtakes like he just did last lap, I think Glamsetter might actually have some competition this season after all.
Yeah, they are teammates as well, are those two, so that'll be an interesting dynamic, a bit like the Sim Race Sweden guys and obviously the Alcantech guys as well at the front of the Pro Championship. We could well have teammates battling it out for the Pro-Ams as well. And so it's just gap now up to 1.4 seconds. Schnabel's sort of having to debate with himself right now. Do I overtake, do I not? Aberdeen, you know, good credit to him. He should get faster as the evening goes on, because it is so early in the morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, I think, over in Australia. Ooh. And maybe that's showing right now because the 218 of Glamsetter is moving past. And the stronghold, the top 4 for Alcantech, NHR, is over for now. And Glamsetter is occupying that 4th place. Just maybe a little bit too far back there to get the draft from the cars ahead.
Yeah, he might actually be under pressure from Aberdeen over the next few laps. It wouldn't surprise me at all, to be honest. Aberdeen, we know, is a fairly quick driver, and as you said, it is really, really early in the morning for him. And yeah, I can't imagine how tired he is right now, but maybe he's handling them better than most of us would. And you know, 5th place for him at the moment isn't too bad, but you know, my pick for Pro-Am at the moment, Glamsetter, going strong right now, and maybe I didn't curse him after all. I've just cursed him saying that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want him to win, clearly, because he's like Merlin right now with the amount of wizardry you put on him. Like, it's he's obviously not going to do well. But if you can get this P4 in Heat 1, then that would be something on his resume. As his replay of the race start, it was so even. Like, all the Alcantech guys absolutely nailed the start, particularly Aberdeen, because Aberdeen started behind Glamsetter and was able to get past into turn 1. And besides that, into turn 1 there wasn't a whole lot going on. It was turn 5 when it got interesting.
Yeah, we've had some fairly light chaos so far. We haven't had too much, just a few spins and a couple people making those mistakes. Here's a replay of what happened to Boberg at the start, and like you say, Sam, I think there was contact. Oh yeah, from the back, just got tapped, and that's really unfortunate for him. And we know how quick Boberg is. He's fought for a few championships here on Apex in F3, I believe. I believe I was actually fighting him for a championship at one point. He's a fairly quick and consistent driver, but that time on lap 1 just got a bit unlucky, that's all.
Yes, I think he certainly won a championship once in the AMS. He's really improved in the F3 a lot, as Boberg. I think he's been around since maybe season 4, and I think the first couple of seasons it was maybe a little bit underwhelming, and then I think season 6 he absolutely nailed it. He's one of the most consistent drivers out there. Yeah, No Limits, really competitive squad, of course, at least in ARA, a fairly new team, but involved in several different championships, as Wilkinson has made a mistake, and Boberg moving his way past there. The car in between them is Brown, who's a lap down.
Yeah, K-Brow there, not having the best of races, and we're still a little bit confused why he didn't take the grid. But hey-ho, we might find out later on. But Boberg, you know, it's good to see him not give up and tow straight back to the pits. He's still trying to grab as many points as he can. He did fairly well there to avoid the 2 slow cars in front of him. And yeah, I think in 9th place, unless there's a few more accidents up ahead, I think he might be a bit content with that. And in the B final, he might be one to watch.
Yeah, well, he would be starting in P4 for the B final. Top 4 get through, so he just needs to keep that position, as Wilkinson must have got a bit of damage from that spin. He's gone back to the pits, and that might allow Sabral to move up into 11th place. And of course, that is important because it does mean an extra couple of points plus or 2 positions on the grid for the B final. Schnabel's very much waiting for this one. I think Sandstrom's pace has been really good, and so I think we'll just tick over for another lap, just like we did earlier on. But I'm not 100% sure, honestly, because, like I said, we only made the extra lap last time by a second or 2.
Yeah, it's going to be super close again. And I think Jesper, because he's on his own and he's not fighting anyone, I think it will be less close than it was last time, as we had Arvidsson trying to dodge and weave the 2 cars behind him, which may have cost him half a second to a second, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, it's still going to be fairly touch and go as to whether we do actually get another lap here. But, yeah, Jesper, you know, it seems like my picks so far have been going pretty well, to be honest. And I think I'm really looking forward to the A final. Jesper, if you can keep up this pace, my man, he might be able to take the fight to Arvidsson, who knows?
It's very possible. Arvidsson will be going for 12 in a row, looking to very much extend that record, put it out of reach for anyone to take it. And I think you'll have a good chance. Schnabel still waiting behind. He's just, waiting till the last lap, which we believe will soon be starting. There should be the white flag being waved very soon. And I mean, it's always tricky to judge. Always the end of the lap takes way longer than what you anticipate. But I'm pretty sure the flagman there, that is a very white flag, and with 2 seconds to spare, we do make it into the next phase, so very comfortable in comparison to last time. And still, we're not seeing that move. We might see a move, though, from Aberdeen. He is sending it, and we could still get an Alcontech 1, 2, 3, 4. He's up into 4th place, but Glamsetter will not give in quite yet. He's still got a good chance later on.
Yeah, like I've said before, that turn 1 isn't always the best chance for an overtake. If you can keep your line through the first few corners and have a good exit off turn 3, it's the best chance, I think, because you have a few corners to try and build a gap. And here goes Glamsetter on Aberdeen again, goes a little bit onto the grass. He's going to try go around the outside. Is it going to be another outside move for No Limits this race? I don't think it is. Aberdeen a little bit more experienced and is able to hold on to that position for now. We'll see if Glamsetter can put any more pressure on to the Australian driver. But it's going to be tough, and we know how quick Aberdeen is. But Glamsetter seems to want that P4 fairly badly. And you know, in a championship like Pro-Am, where every single point can be the make or break, I think Glamsetter is going to try his very hardest right until the end.
Yes, yeah, he really is. And of course, Alcontech have got a couple of teams entered into this championship for this season. They have got their Alcontech, it's too long a name, guys, come on. Alcontech NHR by MW Race Consultant. And then also they've got Alcontech NHR by Nyman Racing. So 2 teams who will be taking the challenge to Sim soon, who have only got 2 drivers as well, which is a bit of a disadvantage. But out in the lead, this is the perfect start for Jesper Sandstrom, and he is going to take a commanding victory. He's way clear of the rest. 3 seconds clear, and he takes the first heat 2 of the season. Schnabel ended up dropping back a bit there, so Zwemstra was safe in 2nd place. Schnabel in 3rd. Aberdeen makes it an Alcontech 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to be starting in 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th for the A final. Glamsetter, Gibb, and Pop all make it through. Simonson just missing out, and yeah, the rest will go through to the B final, which will be starting very soon.
Yeah, that's that ending was a bit confusing there. Yeah, Schnabel had a pretty horrible final lap. I don't know where he actually did make a mistake, but I think it was sector 4. It might have been somewhere around...
Yeah, maybe Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I think he might have just gotten a little bit deep and lost about 1.5 seconds there, but just about managed to hold on to 3rd. And yeah, good result for Alcontech so far, and good result for my picks so far, I'd like to say.
Do you think getting all 3 picks for this season in terms of winning the championship, would that trump your Pro-Am championship? Do you think that would?
I mean, it would mean I'm a prophet, so I guess in that case...
You could sell that stuff. That's valuable if you can sell the future. So yeah, that's useful. Sandstrom taking the win. Svenska Schnabel rounding out the podium. But in the B final, which the bottom of those drivers all qualified for, we've got Spence on pole position, then it's Simonson, Nina Hahn, Ricard Boberg, Jay Walsh, Paul Joseph Klist, Dorian Arroyo, Cesar Sebral, once again starting from P8 coincidentally, Hakon Jokulsen in 9th, Jason Wilkerson in 10th, and Michael Griffin in 11th place. Who do you reckon's going to take those top 4 places in this one, Aaron?
Spence has some decent pace on him. I think Boberg has got some as well, but to be honest, it's going to be chaotic as hell, and we're about to find out.
Here we go then. It wasn't taking the grid there for Griffin, so a little bit of a setback for him as we are underway. Spence leading the field away, and already a big spread amongst the top 3 drivers, so perfect for the American to get into turn 1 nice and comfortably. And also Nina Hahn, in fact, hangs up on the pits as there was contact between the No Limits car of Boberg. I think that was Paul Joseph Klist on the inside as well. So at the moment, it's Cesar Sebral who's gained 4 places. He's up into the advancing spots already from P8 on the grid. And Spence hasn't been able to break the draft either, so Jonan Simonson is really closing in, heading into turn 5.
Yeah, Spence had a horrible run coming out of turn 3 and is now under pressure from Simonson, who is already ahead going into turn 5. Now there's another move for P3 between Welsh and Cabral Cabral, of course, having that horrible first heat. He didn't take to the grid in time, and he's trying to fight back now. He's up into 4th at the moment, which is pretty good. Jay Walsh as well having a decent start. He's up 2 places. And Boberg, though, that contact once again. You know, he was up there and has lost 3 positions already. And Spence struggling a little bit out in front right now. I've seen him do that a few times. He's gone a little bit too deep into these corners. But I think Spence just needs to be a little bit more calm and just get into that A final. I think that's all that matters.
You were able to avoid the B finals a fair amount last season, but I mean, I imagine you probably saw them on stream a couple of times. It was incredible how every single race there was always an instant in the closing stages as Sebral is trying to take 3rd position there from Walsh. It looks like he's been able to do it, but Walsh is still there as they head into Bill Mitchell Bend. This is going to really slow them down as Walsh is extremely cautious. I think a bit too cautious there. He's done well to hold on to P4. I thought he was an absolute goner with Klist and Jokulsen behind. That's contact between Klist and Jokulsen. They're both being able to get through the final corner remarkably well, but it's Boberg who's got a terrific run the pair of them as he looks to the inside, almost being put into the pit wall.
They're definitely about to go 3 wide, and also we had a change for the lead as they head into turn 1. Simonson, as they're going side by side now, they're battling a little bit too much. In the background, you can see Boberg being pushed right up against the pit wall. Is he going to go into turn 1? He makes a little bit of contact with Klist, but they come out of turn 1 unscathed. There's a car off behind them as well. That might be Arroyo, I believe. And Boberg moving ahead of Klist now up into 6th place. And there's more contact as Klist really wants to fight back on this one. But it's just allowing the cars ahead to run away with it, which you do not want in this B final. And these guys in the lead, they're still battling it out. Spence wants it, but just backs out as we head into turn 5.
Well, it's remarkable the gap that those two have got, considering that they have been overtaking one another. Walsh now in 3rd position. But, well, I say that, Sebral straight away back past again. So Walsh lost that position, must have got it back into turn 1, and then, yeah, has lost it all over again. Top 4, remember, get through into the A final. And Jokulsen is looking very quick behind. Jokulsen was unlucky not to get through in his A final, or in his heat, apologies, because he was up in the top 7 for most of the race. And he, I think, should have the pace on Walsh. Honestly, he's a little bit leery at the moment, but the British driver at least does have the slipstream on the Brazilian, and that will help him for now. Really, anyone in the top 9 could still make their way through. That's Jason Wilkinson on the outside. That's a brave move. He's past Arroyo. Yeah,
that was a fairly bold move, considering we're in the B final, but the top 2 already pulling out a 3.5-second gap. But Cesar Cabral in 3rd right now, up 5 places. He is on a charge right now to, you know, reprimand what happened in his opening heat. But he's got some fairly feisty characters behind him. Jay Walsh, who we were talking about before we went live, His iRacing might be a little bit low, but he's got some good pace, you know, and I believe over the course of this season he is going to be a fair challenger for the AM title. He's going to get into the slipstream, pull out as we head into turn 1. Can he get himself up into 3rd place? He's going to be a little bit too cautious there and just has to back out of it, and is under pressure now from Jorgensen behind. And remember, you know, Jorgensen wants to get into that top 4 so he can get into the A final, that oh so important A final. But yeah, I think Walsh is going to defend this like a lion, as this is another change for the lead.
Yes, Spence and Simonson for the umpteenth time in this race, and on this occasion it is Simonson ahead. Not unusual to see a Swedish driver at all at the front. Might see 4 Swedish drivers win the races tonight, which would be very, very impressive. So Jorgensen is up into P4 then. He has been able to get past Walsh, and Boberg is there. Hahn's done really well. You know, started from the pit lane and has been able to get themselves up all the way into 7th place. So this is properly alive for the German driver, who I think honestly has got to be one of the favourites to get through from here. But now that Jorgensen is clear, maybe we might see him start to pull away. He's already got half a second of gap at least.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a shame, and I think Boberg might want to get past Walsh as quickly as he can. We've still got about 8.5 minutes to go in this B final. It's somewhere in between the heat races and the A final. We've got 14 minutes here of racing, so it's a fairly longish race for these guys to think about what they want to do, what strategies they're going to pull off. And oh, there's a car off, and that's Wilkinson, who pulled off a great move a couple laps ago, and he has towed back to the pit lane, and unfortunately that's going to be the end of his day today. He's not really going to have a chance to race again. But now Cabral is under pressure from Jorgensen behind, and he's making up places as fast as we can keep up with them. And there's Boberg in the background as well.
Yeah, some pretty aggressive driving from both pairs of drivers. Boberg up to P5, but there goes Walsh. Boberg wasn't able to cover it off. I honestly think Jay probably needs to wait behind Rickard, honestly. Let him tow them up, because they don't want to lose much more time than this as they almost come to contact again. And Hahn will have an amazing run. If the track's wide enough, I think Hahn will be able to make it 3 wide, as ahead of them, Jorgensen was able to get past Sebral. Sebral moving a little bit on the pitch straight, I must say, which was pushing the limits of the rules, but has been able to get back past in all of that, as Boberg now clear in 5th position. Hahn trying to get up into 6th position, but hasn't yet made it. Jorgensen having to work so hard to make this move stick, and the nice gap that these two had been able to build has been totally obliterated.
Yeah, this is why you don't really want to fight in situations like this, because you're just losing more time to the cars ahead and to the cars behind, as Spence and Simonson up ahead.
Oh no, that's a crash.
Oh yeah, I just realised, yeah, that's Walsh in the wall. And Hahn as well. They've made some contact there, and we were just talking about Hahn, who was having a good race, and Walsh as well, who was having a decent race, and they've definitely had a coming together. And like you were saying, I just think Walsh was being that little bit too aggressive and losing too much time to the cars around him, and unfortunately has created a massive gap across the field now, apart from 3rd, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, so 2 of those 3 drivers who are in that fight are going to make it through, as long as they don't make another crash between the lots of them. But yeah, that's a massive shame for Hahn, and yeah, I think they definitely had the pace to be able to get past. Didn't necessarily need to make the move straight away. These races are deceivingly long, really, the B5s. You sort of think of it as another heat, but actually those extra 4 minutes do make a very big difference. Still a fair bit shorter than the official series, as Jorgensen hasn't been able to break the draft, and Sebral back with them, and oh, that's way too wide for Sebral, might be losing a position. Are they able to cover off Boberg? Boberg has already got past, and into turn 2, the Swedish driver is up into the advancing spots.
Yeah, he's made a fantastic comeback this race, to be honest, and so has Jorgensen in 3rd place. We have some good comebacks this race, to be honest. Cabral, who initially was, you know, all the way up there in 3rd, has just started to fall away right now. I don't think he has the pace to match the 2 cars ahead of him. But yeah, we've had some really good comebacks this race, and could have had even more if we had the likes of Hahn, who started right at the back.
Unfortunately, he lost his rear wing, making contact with Jay Walsh. But yeah, the two cars out in front, not really been challenged this entire race. And again, my pick, Spence, doing well.
Yes, going well for Spence. Of course, my pick, Fillmore, was already through, so so no worries about that one. And of course, Griffin, you imagine where Michael would have been in that. Sure, would have been around the top 4. Here was a couple of incidents earlier on, and was that contact just about avoid? Oh, and then they spun out. So yeah, that was Wilkinson alongside Clist. And then this was Hahn on the on the inside. Oh, Hahn moved across.
Yeah,
honestly, and you know, may have been clear, but you never move across in that scenario, because obviously if the other driver breaks a meter or two later, then that's an inevitable crash.
Yeah, when you're doing that, you really do not want to move right across in the braking zone, as the driver behind might get a little bit spooked and might feel a bit under pressure, like you're squeezing him out a bit too much. And yeah, got to say that was Hahn's fault there. Didn't really leave Walsh with anywhere to go, and unfortunately it paid for both of their races in the end. And yeah, I think Walsh and Hahn, that honestly, that like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, had they not crashed, that would have been a constant battle right until the end. And we've been rather spoiled for that, as the grid starts to just widen a little bit now. Not really too many battles going on. And, you know, the closest cars, I believe, are Clist and Arroyo, but unfortunately they're just fighting for some points at the moment.
Yeah, I will take the opportunity, whilst we have a slight lull in the action, to give a shout out to our title sponsor for this series, or one of our title sponsors for this series, Apex Racing Academy, to providing data packs for over 20 cars on iRacing, whether that be prototypes or single-seaters or GTs or even rallycross cars as well, and also ovals as well. Recently being added. Do definitely check out apexracingac.com in order to get yourself a subscription, which will give you access to setups and track guides and coaching sessions from some of the best drivers in all of iRacing. We all use it here at Apex Racing UK, and we absolutely do recommend it. Does get you a lot of pace guaranteed. As we have a little bit of a battle brewing now, Clist versus Arroyo. These two have been decently close to one another for a while. Arroyo was a second faster on that last tour of the circuit, and well, remarkably, these two drivers are exactly where they started at the race as well.
Yeah, considering the amount of chaos that has been going on this race, yeah, I think they can, as an AM driver, you can be fairly happy. And something's happened to Spence. I believe he's off the track, and you know, yeah, that's.
Mean, if I'm Christian Glamset right now, I'm going to the toilet. Because I am terrified about. I mean, if Spence has gone off by what you said there, Glamset's not going to have a chance. He's going to. I mean, I fear for his safety, honestly. He's down to 5th place, and Sabel looks like he's going to get through after all.
Yeah, that was. I mean, obviously we haven't seen what actually happened yet, but I just think Spence should have taken it a bit more easily. He had 5 seconds behind him. He did not need to push at all, and he's just thrown away a chance, unless he gets very, very lucky, of getting into the A final. And he might even lose a few more places to Clist and Arroyo behind if he's not careful. And he had some decent pace as well, and I just think he's rather thrown this one away, and now I am terrified for the safety of Glamsetter and Sandstrom in the A final.
Yes. Oh dear. I'm also feeling very confident as well. Simonson, you Coulson, yeah, of course. So yeah, of course. Spence was 2nd place, wasn't he? So yeah, it's all changed that now. Will we get in another lap, because it's 14 minutes? And it's a 1 minute 59 lap, so you would think that they'll get the extra lap in, but of course with the race start and, you know, a few errors as well, can easily tick over. So this will be just as close, if not even closer, than what we've seen previous. No, he's not going to make it, Simonson. No, he's way sure. He's going to lose out by best part of 10 seconds, to be fair. So this is going to be the checker flag being waved, and Jonas Simonson, the Swedish driver, is going to make it 3 Swedish wins out of 3. and he's going to try to make it 4 later on as well, because he's going through to the A final. He'll be starting in 13th position. Great work from the Simonson Racing driver. Jörg Coulson will finish in 2nd place on his debut, making it his way into the A final. Boberg will finish in P3, and Sebra will be very satisfied with that one. He's coasting a bit to the line there, but I think he's fine.
What's going on?
Come on, get there. Oh. Okay, he's just about made it. That was close, wasn't it? That was incredibly close to close. I don't know if he was just boasting or whatever.
He might run out of fuel.
Maybe he was ran out of fuel. That was incredible if he actually ran out of fuel. Look at that. That was 800s.
Yeah, I thought he might have been like trying to let someone through. And yeah, also Spence did end up losing the places to Clifton Roy. I think he made another mistake on that final lap. Yeah, he lost 6 seconds. I don't know if he just gave up at the end there. But yeah, that, again, another weird and wacky race. As you were saying, you know, the B finals are always just chaos. You know, for the few times I was in them last season, they were absolutely ridiculous from start to finish. But the good kind of ridiculous, the entertaining kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what we want to see on the stream. Jonas Simonson taking the race victory there ahead of Coulson, Boberg and Sebrial, Clist in P5. According to that, it was a dead heat across the line. That wasn't the case according to our timing screen, so I'm not quite sure which one is correct. We might look in sim in a few moments' time. It was very close though. Arroyo in 6th place, then it was Spence, Walsh, Hahn, Wilkinson and Griffin. We're going to take a slight moment away whilst we show you an advert for one of our partners here at Apex Racing TV, but we'll be back with you in just a few moments' time. Thank you to Apex Racing Simulators for supporting Apex Racing TV. Of course, we are at the Apex Racing esports studio for these broadcasts, but only downstairs we have those VRS rigs which are available for customers to try out. And of course, if you're looking to get any virtual racing school equipment, and we very much do recommend that, really our sim center based in Corby is the place to go to in order to test it all out. So do check us out at apexracingsim.com, as I think we've got a replay of what happened to Spence near the end of the race. Apologies, this is the... Oh yeah, this is a Spence mistake. Just to dip a wheel onto the grass, didn't he?
Yeah, like I was saying before, he just didn't need to be pushing that hard and, you know, ended up making that kind of mistake. And he also made another mistake, which we didn't end up seeing on that final lap. That cost him around 6 seconds, but I mean, you know, I don't think he really cared at the end there. But yeah, really unfortunate there. Just tried to take too much speed around that final corner and ended up paying for it. And yeah, like I said before, I'm now very worried for my other 2 picks, Glamsetter and Jesper. You know, let's hope and pray they don't get cursed by me. But you know, considering how my time here on Apex has gone so far, my curse is extremely strong.
It is, and we saw it was a dead heat for 4th position for the final advancing spot, so we can confirm to the 1,000th of a second it was even. Now iRacing is unclear how many decimals they consider, but it's like probably like 7 or something like that. So to the 10,000th, it came down to 10,000ths between the 2 of them in order to decide who was going into this A final. Incredible stuff. Considering that he ran out of fuel, we believe. Absolutely, yeah, stunning. Isaac Arvidsson is on pole position. His rival, Jesper Sandström, in 2nd position. Then it's Giuseppe Diodone, Kevin Swemstra, Tobias Olsen, Lennart Schnabel, Dylan Platt, and Lee Aberdeen. And Gianfranco Pagozzo. On top of the Pro-Ams is Christian Glamsetter. Top of the Ams is Jacob Fillamore. Then it's Connor Gibb in 12th position. Nicholas Rasmussen, who will be making up a lot of places, I'm sure. Edward Pop, Jonas Simonson, Hakon Coulson, Ricard Boberg, and Cesar Cabral rounding out the 18 cars.
I honestly, I'm not going to be able to predict anything in this A final. I was talking about being a prophet earlier, but honestly, after the races we've had so far, I have no idea. I think Jesper, I know he's fairly aggressive, and I know he wants to win this race very, very badly.
Yeah, the first A final of the season is about to kick off. It is Arvidsson versus Sandström. The lights are out. It's a poor start for our pole sitter, too much wheel spin, and it could well be the lead for Orkentech NHR heading down into turn 1 in these early stages. Behind them, the 134 of Diadone, probably getting the best out of anyone, and Olsen looking to be aggressive on the inside as well. There's almost contact with Arvidsson being nudged by Zwemstra down into turn 1, but Diadone still trying to make that mistake. He has made the mistake. He's up into P2 as making a break for it is Sandström out in the lead. A few lockups heading into turn 3, but it's Sandström, Diadone, Arvidsson and Olsen in the early stages.
Yeah, Jesper absolutely got the perfect start. And there's Olsen also trying to overtake Arvidsson. Arvidsson's having a horrible time. They're going to go 3 wide. That's one of the Alcantech cars on the grass. I believe that was Schnebel there trying to get involved. And Olsen there overtaking his teammates. Everyone managing to make it through turn 5 cleanly at the moment. It's a good start from everyone, actually. I'm impressed that we've all made it through cleanly and got some clean racing so far. I believe I might have just jinxed it. And yes, I have. That's one of the No Limits cars. Please don't tell me that's Glamsetter. It is. Oh my.
Glamsetter and Gibb rounds, and that's 2 of the 3 being absolutely annihilated right there. Pagotto, you can see him trying to concentrate right here in 10th position. He's down 1 place from his start, Pagotto, but not too bad for him. Quick start for Jacob Villamore. The AM driver, you can see up there in 8th position. Really strong for him. 3.8 seconds off the lead as it stands. He's the only amateur driver in this race, albeit Platt is closing in very much behind. As we've got a bit of side-by-side further up, and it's Arvidsson continuing to drop down. Surely it's not going to be 12 in a row. What a way for this run to go.
Oh, it's contact!
Contact. That's the worst way for it to come to an end, because contact between
he's out of the race,
and he is out, and Schnabel is out as well.
It could not. He set. I believe he did set the record. And then,
it was 11.
And then just decided, yeah, I've done it. Bish, bash, bosh. I don't need to do this anymore. And that's incredible. Arvidsson and Schnebel both making contact, and Sandström already having a 1 second advantage at the front. And, well, at least one of my picks is going well so far. Glamsetter's had a horrible start, down 5 places. And Villamore's gained another place. He's up into 6th. Incredible from the Brit.
Yeah, just taking advantage of those incidents, but also a nice launch as well from the 13 Racing Joe's got some supporters as well in the YouTube chat. So hopefully they are enjoying this one. I've got Platt just behind him. But, yeah, really disappointing for Arvidsson, with Sandström already pretty much breaking the draft. Does look like Orkentech NHR are going to take first blood this season. Rasmussen not making much progress, actually. He also got a pretty poor start because there's been several drivers have issues ahead of him, and he has not moved up any places as it stands. Platt has got up into P6 meanwhile. And we've still got the top 16 running cleanly. Arvidsson and Schnabel will question whether they even want to go back out on circuit after that collision, which at first glance at least, Darren, it didn't seem like either one's fault. It was very much similar to the Olsen-Rasmussen contact we had earlier on.
Yeah, they kind of just merged towards each other, like they were just moving towards each other, being a little bit too aggressive on that opening lap. They didn't need to be. I understand Arvidsson, you know, he was falling back more and more, and Schnebel obviously just wanted to take advantage of that, but yeah, I just think it was too aggressive from both drivers, and they ended up paying for it in the end. And, you know, it's unfortunate for Arvidsson, not a good start for this season. It possibly will be a drop round as Olsen moves himself up into 3rd. Villamore is now down to 8th place as Pagotto moves up into 7th. And even though, you know, Villamore is losing places, the fact that he's the only AM in this race alone, wherever he finishes, really, is going to be a fantastic result and will put him right at the top of the standings.
It will do. Still do get points for your overall position for new followers to the series. If you're an AM, you still want to beat the pro-AMs and the pros because, yeah, it's overall position rather than position in class, which decides your points, as Wemstra has been able to make that move stick now on Olsen. He's up into P3, a very aggressive move into turn 1. Still got a long way to go in this race, but he wants to join his team on the rostrum as your Coulson coming very close. That's actually where he crashed earlier on as well, Coulson. So bad memories, and it was nearly a carbon copy. But he's looking in his mirrors. You can see he's looking to the right a little bit right there. Clearly got the proper mirrors on rather than the virtual mirror, it looks like. And well, he's having to go all-out defense right now on Philomore, and for now he has stayed in 7th place, but they are losing a lot of time to the cars ahead. Swimster having to defend from Olsen, and the top two are well clear. And Swimster and Olsen, I think this one's getting a little bit personal now. They are being very aggressive to one another.
I think Kevin possibly playing the team game here as Olsen trying to put him under pressure. Zwemstra trying to create a gap to Sandstrom in front and just trying to give the cars behind a least opportunity to try and fight the guys in front for the lead. And yeah, if that is the case, Zwemstra's doing a fantastic job so far. He's giving Olsen a real good run for his money. And Olsen might even be under pressure from Aberdeen now, who's gaining on him very, very quickly as we head down into Canada Corner.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a late move there from Olsen. He's getting back to
contact again!
Well, that's exactly how he made contact with Rasmussen over on. Aberdeen's into the wall. And I don't know if that was netcode. I don't know if one driver's moving across on the other. Of course, he is based in Australia. We've got the New Zealand servers, so it is so easy to make netcode contacts. But I didn't think the entry of Canada Corner would be the source of so many incidents, but that's 3 we've seen now.
Yeah, I honestly would not have predicted that, and he got launched over that little hill that you were talking about earlier on, that gravel trap down at Canada Corner, and kind of sent him into the wall there. A bit unfortunate, but I don't know, that one did look a bit funny, to be honest. Again, it looked like Olsen was being incredibly aggressive on the defense, and you know, Aberdeen isn't that aggressive of a driver, to be honest. You know, the few times that I have raced against him, he's fairly safe and fairly clean, so you know, that one will have to wait for the stewards room, but nevertheless, Olsen's going to try and move back up into 3rd anyway, but you know, Kevin, by the looks of it, is going to try and replicate what Sergio Perez did for Max Verstappen a couple years ago at Abu Dhabi.
Yes, and well, it's certainly worked out for Sandstrom to get clear, but now that they don't have Aberdeen in play as well, it's pretty much just a straight fight between the two of them, as Sabral versus Boberg. Sabral with a really good start in this race. Still both clear of Rasmussen. I'm surprised Rasmussen hasn't made any progress. He's got some damage on that front wing, perhaps. Looks all right to me, at least. So maybe he's just making up the gap at the moment. He was, oh no, he was actually slower on that last lap, was Rasmussen. Of course, one of the most established drivers we have on Apex Racing TV, full stop. I mean, I remember when we used to broadcast the iRacing Grand Prix Championship, the official series, and Nicholas was a driver in that, tried to go pro a couple of times. It's happened again. It has happened again.
And he's off.
And Olsen has had enough. I mean, and that was netcode, I'm fairly sure, that time, and it absolutely destroyed the front wheel.
We were saying just before this broadcast, SimRace Sweden what might be the team to beat. They're going to score, I'm pretty sure, no points in this A final.
Oh, contact.
Oh, even more contact as I just looked away. And that's was that Rasmussen and Aberdeen? Oh, my, that's about 3 or 4 cars involved there. Both Alcantech cars coming together along with a few other drivers. That's Boberg as well without a rear wing. And a lot of teams just making really silly errors in this A final. I mean, look at this. Fillmore back into 6th place as an amateur driver. Incredible.
Yeah, we sometimes see that in the penultimate round of the championship, but very rarely do we see it in the first round of the championship when everyone's prepared and everyone's sort of on good form. Yeah, Fillmore absolutely mixing it around. He's not even that far behind Pagotto, still further up the road. But I think that initial contact was between Aberdeen and Boberg, and then I think Rasmussen, did he get through it cleanly? Maybe he got through it cleanly. Sabel, the big beneficiary of that, along with Gibb as well. Boberg has been on to just take his faster pair and get back out there. Schnabel rejoined the circuit earlier on, and there you can see Olsen and Arvidsson buried at the bottom of our timing tower. And Olsen, I think, was very frustrated at the end there, just full throttle. But I mean, the car was absolutely, you know, worthless at that point anyway. Could have taken a faster pair, but huge frustrations for SimRace Sweden, who had won, I believe, maybe the last 7 A finals in this series. I think they maybe didn't win round 3 last season, but besides that, they were faultless last season.
Yeah, and already, you know, we've already seen that they do have a weakness. You know, it's like when you see a top team in any sport suddenly start losing, like Mercedes in 2021 and 2022. It's like they do have a weakness. As dominant as they can be, you can beat them, and when they make mistakes like this, you have to take the best of it. As here's Glamsetter trying to make himself useful, and there's going to be a big crash. That's now Rasmussen and Aberdeen, both with huge damage, and Cabral as well involved in that. And Glamsetter, you know, didn't do anything wrong there. Cabral just lost it on the exit of turn 12, and has ruined a couple people's races again.
Yeah, that was a very big shame. I think we're going to try to get through a few of the incidents now. And this one was earlier on. This was Glamsetter and Co. Oh, he needs to make contact with his teammate, but I think that was maybe with Rasmussen, perhaps. They just turned around. And then this one was the first one with Olsen on the inside. Was there proper contact? Nah, that's netcode, I think.
Yeah, that's really difficult with Arvidsson and Schnebel there. And again, this is the second incident with Olsen and Aberdeen, and yeah, just...
Ooh, that might not be netcode.
Yeah, I think there was definite contact there. But just so many incidents in these opening few laps, and while we were away, Platt, who was up there in 5th, made a mistake and has fallen all the way down to 9th, and now that means Fillmore, my apologies, is up into 5th. I mean, on his debut, if an amateur driver can score this good points, it's going to carry him a lot of momentum throughout the rest of the season.
Yes, yes. And Edward Pop as well, like up 8 places himself. I was considering, and Aaron is witness to this, I was considering making Pop my pick for this season. He was really good in the AMS last season, but missed too many rounds. But he's really up there at the moment, but he is going to lose 6th position to Simonson. It looks like deeper on the brakes, though, is the Force International Racing Team driver. And despite the slide for Simonson, he didn't lose out to Jökulsson, who's looking to probably get the best result that an Icelandic driver has ever got in an Apex Racing League event. And Dylan Platt as well, coming back at these guys after this mistake earlier on. They're all off the circuit, and that's going to be into the wall for Jökulsson. No, it's not. And he's not even had to go into the pit lane either. That went remarkably well for him.
That was one of the best. I've never seen someone be able to catch that. He was inches away from that wall. That was amazing car control there to be able to keep it on, and he's only lost a few positions because of it as well. He's still in 9th, he's still in 3rd in Pro-Am, and that was an absolutely incredible save there.
So we're going to get a replay of the Olsen incident there. So iRacing registered this as really heavy. I mean, that's really bad. Like, that's nowhere near. Yeah. The second one, I think, maybe was legit. But that one, because seeing that I think they were both located in Europe, is very surprising. Ooh, who's that gone by? Does that Fillmore? Oh, yeah. He just built up a gap, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mistake he made into turn 5 there. Maybe just a little bit too deep on the brakes. And maybe the pressure starting to get to him as he's starting to realise, yep, he's definitely starting to feel that pressure. He just needs to calm down a little bit. But Edward Pop trying to send one down the inside there. Couldn't find a gap that he was able to fit this Formula 3 car into. But even though Fillmore's race is going incredibly well, he needs to keep this on the track if he's to make it count. He just needs to keep it cool. And even if he ends up losing a few places, that's okay. It's your first round. You're doing incredibly well in the Amateur Championship. Those few points that he's going to lose, he just needs to keep calm. He should let Edward Pop here through, and he does. And might have to fight back a little bit as Pop doesn't get the best of exits there. He's going to definitely fight this one, but backs out a little bit, and he's going to be under pressure from Simonson behind for 7th place.
I had a horrible feeling there when he tried to almost get the cut back through Bill Mitchell bent that Simonson was going to be on his inside. I think from the relative, it looked like Simonson had to get on the brakes pretty much to avoid that one. So that was good avoidance from the Swedish driver. As once again, you see around this second, it's just not wide enough really to go 3 wide. Well, there's probably a slot on the inside, but he's not going to take it. Is Simonson. Platt loving this up ahead. Villamore, though, back to P5. Pop temporarily in 6th, but Simonson has got the much better line. He's going to go alongside the 222 machine, and he is up into 6th position. A bit of a slide for Edward Pop, and Platt is all over these guys now. Platt's going to have a terrific run, and unless Pop goes for the move, he's got to go for the move, otherwise Platt will just be straight past him himself.
Yeah, he might be able to have a tiny bit of slipstream from Villamore ahead, but we know how good Edward Pop is on the brakes. He's going to go for the outside line into turn 5, and it actually seems to be the better line if you can hold it through these few corners, and he does. He keeps ahead of Simonson, and look at Platt now trying to find a gap through there. He is trying to find it, a little bit over aggressive there. Maybe should have waited a few more corners to try and go for a move, but he's gonna go for the move now. This is into turn 8, I believe, now into the carousel, and has gotten ahead of Jonas Simonson and is up into 7th place. And a decent comeback from Platt so far, and we'll see if he can gain a couple more places and maybe even get up into 5th.
Yeah, Simonson will be disappointed with how that went. I don't feel like he did a whole lot wrong, and yet he dropped 2 places when it looked like he might gain 1, but he's going to get 1 in the back. That's terrific straight line speed. If you can get close going into the kink, you really can make that move. And we've seen it again, and that was Simonson's fault, I must say, because he moved across in the braking area, and Platt is very fortunate to still be running in 8th position as it stands. So we'll quickly give thanks to SDK Gaming, who are providing our overlay for this season. It does look ever so good. We do like the WEC overlay for our Endurance Championship, but we go back to the classic kind of F1 2017 style overlay for the single-seater series. And of course, if you want to check out SDK Gaming's overlays, their live timing, and also their HUD as well for whilst you're racing, to check out sdkgaming.co.uk, as this one is not backing down still, and Platt is back up into 7th.
Yeah, Platt and Simonson really fighting it out for 8th place. And Platt, you know, not having a spectacular race. He made a mistake earlier on. And Simonson wanting to make the best of every single point in Pro-Am. And, you know, he's losing out to Edward Pop ahead, and Simonson does not want that at all, and he's going to fight Platt all the way to the end as Platt gets a little bit deep on the brakes, but so does Simonson there, and he's lost about a second from that mistake. And Platt kind of locked the rears, and Simonson he locked the fronts. And, yeah, that just pushed him way too deep into turn 5, and it lost even more time to Pop in first in Pro-Am.
I got to say, he was down in about 10th place at one point, was because he started in P9, and his facial expression hasn't really changed for this entire race. He's stayed extremely calm. Big thanks to him for showing his webcam. There are details posted to all the drivers in the ARA Discord, so guys, if you're watching back, do please set that up for future rounds. So it is, well, he does look very cool. Oh, this isn't very good. Why is he short shifting? Is he running out of fuel?
I think he is.
Because we've got another lap to go. Unless it's a tactic. His face, does that look like a man who's running out of fuel?
Yes, he's definitely running out of fuel. He is short shifting like a madman. I think maybe he's underfueled slightly because he thought there was going to be 1 lap less than that actually was. And he's already spluttering. He's underfueled by a lap. Oh my lord, Villamore's going to get 4th place possibly. I don't remember the last time I've seen an AM that high up. I really don't. And that's how close it was. We went to the line with only a few seconds to spare, and that's just a big miscalculation by the Italian.
Yeah, he won't be able to make it to the end if he's already spluttering. And short shifting, as far as I'm aware, and anyone on the chat can feel free to correct me on this one, but I didn't believe it really works. iRacing fuel is all done on the fuel or the throttle inputs, and so it's much better to keep high revs and low kind of throttle input. But Gonzo's pace isn't too bad, so he might have, if he can keep up this pace, he will make it, but usually you see drivers try to make it and then they end up being like a 10th short and they have to go really slow around the back end of the lap. So
I think it's probably going to be Fillmore, honestly. And you will know what's going on ahead of him, and he's thinking, wow, I might even go one place better than this.
Yeah, Fillmore has had a spectacular debut in this championship, and he's going to be so far ahead of all the other AMs now that it's going to carry the momentum all the way until the very end. I don't want to jinx him just yet. We still have, you know, about half a lap to go, and I don't know if Pagotto started, he's got going again, but he's still losing time. And I don't know who's going to get this, to be honest, unless Pagotto starts spluttering even more. He's just lost about another second there as we head into Canada corner. But, I mean, this guy, Jesper Sandstrom, absolutely unstoppable in this A final.
He really has done. Alcantech NHL wants to take this championship to Sim Race Sweden, and they have done that and more in the opening round of the season. Sandstrom takes first blood. As Fillmore, I think he's going to be able to do it.
He's going to do it!
Any more fuel for Pagotto. He's trying to go full fuel, and Fillmore is absolutely delighted, as he should be. He takes 4th position as an amateur driver.
Ooh.
An incredible result. Pagotto finished in P8 in the end. Pop up there in P5, a terrific result for a Pro-Am, and Pop's best ever A final result as well. Platt in P6, Simonson, Rasmussen in a distant 11th. Well, I think, you know, Sandstrom, you know, certainly the best driver tonight. He won both of his races, but I think Fillmore may be the best story of the night.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, our picks are going very up and down. Your AM pick, I mean, absolutely ridiculous up there in 4th place. And Pro-Am, we're both, I believe we're both fairly mixed. But, I mean, you know, just saying my pro pick, you know, Jesper went and dominated that race, and your pick didn't end up finishing the race. So, just saying.
Yeah, it's not a good start for me on that front, unfortunately. We are going to transfer back over to the studio. We'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes' time to have a chat with a few of the drivers.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
We're one meeting into the championship and already 4 spectacular races. It was extremely entertaining to watch. Hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. Just a little bit of a surprise maybe in the running order, I would say, Aaron, right there, but also just an incredible battling throughout the field.
Yeah, that's the first 2 heats were all right. We had some pretty good battles up and down. A couple mistakes from our pro drivers as well. We've seen quite a few pros, you know, throughout this entire race today. A lot of them made a fair few mistakes, and especially that A final. You know, we had some incredible battles, especially for the midfield. and then the big names, both Sim Race Sweden cars. Arvidsson and Olsen both making contact at the same corner as well. It did seem a bit weird, but you know, not the best start to the season for them. But I'm sure they will make a comeback in the next few rounds.
Yeah, they're still going to be maybe the favourites for the title, even after that disappointing round one. But yeah, they have got a fair few points to recover. You can see in the background a few of the highlights for the today's race throughout the evening, and yeah, just some of the mistakes being made. That was, of course, the curse. For it was Spence, wasn't it? I'm still getting used to the no limits. Everyone in no limits now. I've got used to some liveries, but yeah, of course that green livery for Spence this season, and then some pretty big ones. That was a big shame for Rasmussen, I believe.
Schnebel and
Schnebel, yeah. Yeah, and just this counter corner every single time. I don't know if that's maybe like a change with maybe iRacing's netcode system or something, but it just seemed every time it's that corner, iRacing thought that drivers were making contact, but they weren't.
Yeah, it's always in that braking zone as well, or like just about when they start braking. And yeah, you know, we had 3 or 4 contacts. They were with the same drivers though, which is a bit odd. You know, it was with Olsen and Arvidsson. They were the drivers that were mainly making contact. But you know, either way, Alcantech and Sim Race Sweden, I think that's going to be a fairly fierce rivalry throughout this entire season, especially if Jesper can keep up that pace. He looked like a rocket today.
Yeah, his A final was impressive. I mean, I will say that his gap was coming down a little bit near the end, but I think that was just because he was able to cruise, wasn't he? His heat, though, was just dominant. He did really not seem to just let the pressure off at any point. He cleared the field by 3 seconds, which in a 10-minute heat with a fairly sort of more simple circuit in Road America. I mean, a lot of straights where, you know, drivers aren't able to make a gap. 3 seconds was an absolutely colossal advantage, so super impressive from him. Then we can go through the final results for that A final as well for this opening round of the championship, and yeah, race victory. They were the B final results, with Simonson being able to get up there. Of course, those top 4 able to get into the A final, but there was Sandstrom 1.3 seconds clear of Diodone. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Italian, but what a debut for him. Swimster in 3rd place, Villamore spectacular 4th as an amateur driver known as Pop Platt. Simonson, Pagotto, Yakulson, Glamstetter, Rasmussen, Bergberg, Cabral, Aberdeen, Schnabel, Gibb, Olsen and Arvidsson. Nicely, those 18 drivers perfectly fitting on our timing screen. And we'll have a couple of chats with a few of our drivers then, and we should be able to first drag up Jesper Sandstrom to have a chat with us now. Jesper, can you hear us all right? Yes, we can. That is all good. Jesper, congratulations on that absolutely fantastic race victory. I mean, it looked, well, I mean, let's start off with your heat. It was just comfortable, it looked like. You were absolutely well clear of the rest.
It was Alcantech Express in the heat. It wasn't too much to worry about.
Exactly, yeah, that must have been a pretty good feeling. Then once you get into the A final, the perfect launch. I mean, it seemed like all you guys, to be fair, had really good launches today, and once you got that race lead, there was no looking back.
I'm very thankful that I got the launch I did, because this track is obviously very draft dependent, so even if you're quicker, people are still gonna tag along, and that usually ends very bad. So I was very happy and lucky to be able to pull up a gap on lap 1 and then just try and manage.
Yeah, that was really, really impressive from yourself, and of course for the rest of the season, you Alcantech drivers must feel very confident about, you know, taking the title challenge all the way to the final round.
Well, this is just the first round, so there's a long way to go. A lot of things can happen. We'll see. One race at a time.
Yes, well, that is a very good attitude to take for the season, I must say. Just, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank my team for having my back and, you know, motivating and pushing and helping out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Jesper, and best of luck that you can keep it up next week.
Thank you.
Jesper Sandstrom there, your winner for tonight in the A final. Yeah, just we've already touched on it already, Aaron, but he's going to be tricky to beat. I mean, and I think he's improved a lot as well since last season. I mean, last season we saw him occasionally being able to challenge the Sim Race Sweden guys. I think this season he's already matching them on pace. He's just a driver who, you know, finds that extra bit of level after a couple of years on the sim, it seems.
Yeah, that's why I went with his pick, because I've seen him develop as a driver over the past few months, and to be honest, the past year he has really changed. He's gotten a bit more mature as a driver, gotten quicker, a lot more consistent, and that's why I think he was going to be a bit of an underdog this season. Did incredibly well in IGP Fun, of course, and yeah, he's already started off the season with a bang.
Yes, a really good start for him. We might be able to get another interview potentially, and yeah, in fact we can have a chat with Jacob Phillimore. Would you like to have a talk with him, Aaron?
I would absolutely love to talk to this man. 4th overall as an amateur driver, the only amateur driver in that A final. Phillimore, we even saw your reaction on the last lap when you got 4th. Just how are you feeling after that? You must feel absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely ecstatic, to be honest. It's I did this league about a year ago, and probably crashed out about 4 out of the 6 times, and then finished outside in the B finals and all that. And now it's just the adrenaline that's going through my body. It's yeah, I was holding them off. I was making mistakes, but man, it's insane.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. The amount of pressure you must have been feeling, having, you know, I think like 4 or 5 cars on your back at some points, but you managed to keep it firm, and you ended up finishing in 4th. And do you think this is the kind of momentum you'll be able to carry forward throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely so. Especially in the amateur category, I would like to move up to the pro-ams, as I think I was the overall best finisher out of the AMs and the pro-ams. I just sort of, with the train sort of thing, I channeled my inner truly train, got that running. I was very, very slow. I was making a lot of mistakes, but I just managed to hold on to it. And yeah, it was majority of the pressure saying that I was going to win the championship before I'd even started racing. That was what was getting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was an absolute glory to watch you out there, because, I mean, even though you were making those little tiny mistakes, you managed to gain off of a lot of other people's big mistakes, you know, the likes of Olsen and Arvidsson, of course, being the big ones. But, you know, going into the next round specifically, is this the kind of result you'll be hoping for again, or do you think that'll be a bit modest?
Well, Road America's generally been one of my best tracks, that and Donington. Unfortunately, Donington's not on the calendar. That was the 2 races in the previous seasons that I was actually managed to finish, I think, out of the points and all that sort of stuff. But no, I've never driven on VAR with these cars, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be should be good fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, I can tell you from experience. I think you'll like it, but you know, if you can keep it on track, I think you'll get another good result. But before we let you go, Jacob, is there anyone you want to thank for this race?
Yeah, so just a couple of people. Just like to thank Tobias Olsen. He helped me out with the finding setups. Jasper, he's helped me since I did the first race here about a year ago. Congrats on his win, a really, really great win. I mean, he was dominant from that. I'd like to thank my friends who are watching at the moment, Sebo, Warpanda Dress, Stripper Dave, that sort of thing. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Jacob, and we wish you best for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really incredible stuff there from Jacob, wasn't it? And that's a gap now in the championship that realistically he should be able to hold on to for like the next 3 rounds or something. That's like a nice cushion that he can have, even if he doesn't get to any A finals for a bit. You know, he should still be leading the championship the third way into the season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the buffer that he needs, to be honest. And you know, this is definitely not going to be anywhere near his drop rounds. This is going to be probably his best round. But you know, you just never know. And if he can keep this kind of form up, keep it on track, nice and consistent, gain from other people's mistakes, depending if he does get moved to Pro-Am or not, I think whatever championship he's going to be in, whether it's Am or Pro-Am, he's going to be one of the top drivers. He was really, really good today.
Absolutely, and another driver who really performed above expectation was Edward Pop, who managed to get his best result in this series history. Congratulations, Edward. I mean, how are you feeling right now? Because that seemed like a very, very intense race, particularly in the A final.
Yeah, thanks guys. I think above expectations would be a good way of putting it. I was kind of shocked when I was promoted to Pro-Am for this season. I wasn't expecting that, and I didn't think I would be on the pace, but it was a very, very fun couple of races tonight. I had some good pace in the end, but there were a lot of battles there that I have to thank my competitors for leaving space and always being respectful. This could have gone a whole different way a couple of times.
Absolutely. I mean, on one of those occasions, I think was lap 1, where there seemed to be a lot of stuff going around you. I think like Glamset's having an incident, maybe Rasmussen as well. What was your perspective, or how did you see that lap 1 in the A final?
Yeah, I was kind of lucky on lap 1. People kept spinning out in front of me. I was just concentrating on leaving the gap everywhere in front and behind and on the sides, just to make sure that I'm not involved in anything. I was very, very careful, and I had to concentrate a lot. But each additional driver that spun out just, you know, increased my anxiety by just a little bit, because it was very, very chaotic first lap. It all went well though in the end, so I can be happy about that.
It really did, and of course you mentioned, you know, some kind comments towards your competitors, particularly that battle with Jacob seemed to just rage on that entire A final. How was it battling with him, and what were the tactics involved in terms of battling around this Road America circuit?
It was a very fun battle. I was just talking to Jacob a moment before. We were playing a bit of you know, overtake chicken before the before long straight, because we knew whoever was going to be behind at the start of straight would end up ahead in the end. I knew he had a bit more pace, all things considered. He had a couple of moments that allowed me to get close to him. Ideally, I wouldn't have gotten in a fight with him at all, because I was concentrating on staying ahead of Jonas. For the Pro-Am win, but it was very fun to fight with the driver who was a bit faster than me tonight, and also very exciting up until the end.
It definitely was. Well, congratulations, Edward, for that terrific result. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thank you. I guess I'd like to thank also my team, Dorian. He was also racing tonight. He had a bit of bad luck though, so he couldn't get as good of a result. But I'm sure he'd be fighting for that AM championship up until the end of the season.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. It's really fantastic to have you and Dorian back in the series for this season. And yeah, best of luck that you can keep it up next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Great job tonight. See you soon.
So that was Edward Pop. I think the first time we've actually chatted with Edward on the stream before. So, you know, clearly, you know, waiting for this fantastic result in order to have an interview with us. And, you know, I think everyone in the Pro-Ams, honestly, like, does genuinely have a chance. I know sometimes we like exaggerate that or whatever, but like genuinely, like pretty much out of the 10 drivers who are Pro-Ams, probably 8 of them I think genuinely could be contenders. And Edward was one of them, and that's the start of the season that he really wanted. And you know, if you can, you know, pull out these results week after week and avoid the bad results, I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but that's how you win titles, and that's the perfect start for Edward.
Well, as a previous Pro-Am champion myself, I think I'm one of the people who can sort of give an input on this. But yeah, you basically put it spot on. You do need to have that consistency and just take every opportunity that you get, because if you don't, it could be the difference between losing out the championships by a few points. It was one of the reasons why I struggled to win a championship a lot, is because I wouldn't take those opportunities as well as I could have. And then last season, I just had a bit of a better head. And yeah, like you say, Pro-Am looks really, really competitive. And I guess Pro does as well if you know, the likes of SimRace Sweden can have better results. And I was really looking forward to seeing Jesper and Olsen and Arvidsson go toe-to-toe, but we were robbed tonight, unfortunately, of a good battle. But I imagine throughout this season we'll see them have a few more run-ins.
For sure, and of course we've got the two Italians as well, Picotto and Kay, so that will be a nice addition as well for those buys. But that pretty much wraps us up then for this evening. Big thanks to Apex Racing Academy, to Virtual Racing School, and to SDK Gaming for supporting this broadcast. Of course, if you've enjoyed this stream, do subscribe, leave a like on the video. We super appreciate it. Helps with the algorithm. And of course, do check out our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. We're always posting extra content from our events here on Apex Racing TV. But for now, from myself and from Aaron, we are going to say goodbye from the Sim Centre, and we'll see you back next week at VIL. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.